This video is designed to give you a basic understanding of food and digestion. Specifically, what are the building blocks of food, what are they used for, and where are they digested and absorbed in the body. This basic knowledge will help you understand some of the concepts when we dive deeper into the health of the body at the microscopic level. So let's begin this discussion with macro and micronutrients, and in the second section we will discuss digestion and absorption. Macronutrients are better known as carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, whereas micronutrients are better known as vitamins and minerals. Let's talk about three main topics for each macronutrient. First, the building blocks that make up each macronutrient. Second, let's dig a little deeper into the different subcategories of each macronutrient. And finally, the amount of calories per gram for each macronutrient. So let's start off with carbohydrates. In very simple terms, we can think of carbohydrates as one of the energy sources of the body. The basic building block of carbohydrates come in the form of a molecule called a saccharide. Now you may have heard of the term monosaccharide, meaning one saccharide molecule, or disaccharides, meaning two, or even polysaccharides, meaning many saccharide molecules together. There are two categories of carbohydrates, and those categories are simple and complex. Simple carbohydrates are a much smaller molecule, so they're rapidly broken down and utilized for just short periods of time of energy. Fruit is a very good form of simple carbohydrates. Complex carbohydrates are a much larger molecule, so they take some time to break down in the body, so they're utilized for energy for longer periods of time. Some examples of complex carbohydrates are potatoes and whole grains. Fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes can supply all three of the macronutrients, but they are a significant source for our carbohydrate intake. As far as the calories provided by carbohydrates, there are 4 calories for every gram of carbohydrates in a meal. So for example, if you had 50 grams of carbohydrates in a meal, you would take that 50 times 4, because there are 4 calories per gram, which gives you 200, and that's 200 calories of carbohydrates for that meal. The second macronutrient are called proteins, and in simple terms, they can be considered the main building blocks of the body. So they contribute to our muscles, tendons, and organs, as well as other metabolic processes in the body that require enzymes or hormones. The basic building blocks of proteins are called amino acids. Now there are 20 amino acids in total. Those 20 amino acids are actually broken down into 2 categories called essential amino acids and non-essential amino acids. The essential amino acids are made up of 9 of the 20 amino acids. They're called essential because we're not able to manufacture those amino acids in the body, and we have to derive them from foods that we eat. The 11 remaining amino acids are the non-essential amino acids, and they're called that because we are able to manufacture those internally, and we aren't relying on food to bring those amino acids into the body. Typically, when we think of protein sources, we think of animal products, but there are a lot of non-animal products that supply us with protein, such as a variety of vegetables, legumes, nuts, and seeds can supply us with those essential amino acids, and ultimately a great source of protein. As far as the calories provided by protein, there are 4 calories for every gram of protein in a meal. So for example, if you know you have 20 grams of protein in your meal, you would take 20 times 4, because there are 4 calories per gram. That equals 80, so you know you have 80 calories derived from your proteins in that meal. Our third and final macronutrient are fats. Now in simple terms, fats are also a good energy supply for the body. They help protect your organs, they help keep you warm, they help absorb nutrients in the body, and also supply the building blocks for very important hormones. The basic building blocks for fats are called fatty acids. You may have heard the term triglyceride, tri meaning 3, which is actually 3 fatty acid molecules together. Just like the building blocks of carbohydrates and proteins, fatty acids are broken down into different categories. And the 3 categories for fatty acids are saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated. Examples of saturated fats are fats from animals, butter, coconut oil. These are the fats that are solid at room temperature. Monounsaturated fatty acids are typically liquid at room temperature, but can solidify in the refrigerator. The classic example of monounsaturated fat is olive oil. But we also have oils from almonds, hazelnuts, and even avocados are considered monounsaturated. Examples of polyunsaturated fats are our vegetable oils, mostly seed oils, soybean, flaxseed, sunflower, and also fish oil. There are a few subcategories of polyunsaturated fats, but the two most talked about are omega-3 and omega-6. These are considered essential fatty acids, just as we had essential amino acids for proteins, meaning we actually have to eat these fatty acids because we aren't able to manufacture them in the body. As far as calories and fat, we see 9 calories per gram in fat. Now we saw in carbohydrates and protein only 4 calories per gram. So that actually means there's more than double the amount of calories per gram in fat than there are in carbohydrates and protein. So for example, if you know you had 10 grams of fat in a meal, that would be 10 times 9 because there are 9 calories per gram, which would give you 90 calories of fat in that meal. Micronutrients are the vitamins and minerals that are essential for many, many different types of reactions in the body, including energy production, immune function, growth of the body, bone health, just to name a few. Let's start with vitamins. They're broken down into 2 categories, fat-soluble and water-soluble. Here are a list of both. Minerals are also broken down into 2 categories. We have major minerals and trace minerals, and here are a list of both of those. Our main source of vitamins and minerals is certainly through the food that we eat, but at certain times we may need to supplement vitamins and minerals due to the lack of these micronutrients in our food supply today. In this section of the video, let's take a look at where these macro and micronutrients are digested and absorbed in the body. First, let's define what digestion and absorption mean. Digestion is the process for breaking down carbohydrates, proteins, and fats into their building blocks, which are saccharides, amino acids, and fatty acids, so the body is able to use these substances. Absorption is the process where these digested substances are brought into the body through the lining of the digestive tract. So it's important to have proper digestion in order to have proper absorption. Let's take a look at the anatomy of the digestive system. The digestive tract is actually one long tube from mouth to anus that is designed to bring nutrients and water into the internal environment of the body. If you think about it, when we eat food, it is inside our body, but it really hasn't reached our internal environment until it is actually absorbed. In the digestive process, carbohydrates, proteins, and fats each have 2 phases of digestion. So let's take a look at where each of these phases occur. Food digestion starts in the mouth, specifically the first phase of carbohydrate digestion with an enzyme called amylase. If we don't chew our food slowly and completely, we miss out on this first phase of carbohydrate digestion. As far as absorption in the mouth, there are some nutrients and drugs that can be absorbed, but for the most part, absorption occurs farther down the digestive tract. Now the food moves into the esophagus where it travels to the stomach. The stomach is a highly acidic environment, and it is also the location for the first phase of protein digestion. The high acidity actually activates the enzyme pepsin, which is responsible for protein digestion. Without this high level of acid, we would not be able to digest protein properly, and it is also one of the lines of defense against pathogens that enter the digestive tract. After exiting the stomach, it now enters the first part of the small intestines called the duodenum. This is where the second phase of digestion for carbohydrates and proteins occur, and also both the first and second phases of fat digestion. This digestive process receives some help from enzymes from the pancreas, one of them being lipase to help digest fat, and we also receive bile from the liver. As we travel down the small intestines, we arrive at the second and third sections called the jejunum and the ileum. This is where all absorption of carbohydrates, proteins, fats, water-soluble vitamins, and some minerals take place. Finally, we enter the large intestines, also referred to as the colon, is broken into 3 sections. Each section is named for the direction the food is traveling. So we have the ascending colon, the transverse colon, and the descending colon. The large intestines helps in absorption of vitamins and nutrients made by the bacteria that normally live in the large intestines. These are actually friendly bacteria, and we will be having a detailed discussion on their influence on our body in the next video. Let's finish the discussion at the microscopic level of the intestinal wall where the absorption occurs. Instead of just arriving at the cells, let's take it in steps so you're able to see some perspective of where this cell lining actually is located. If we look at a cross-section of the small intestines, we see the wall is actually rippled instead of being smooth. This allows for greater surface area for nutrient absorption. As these ripples become smaller and smaller, we refer to them as villi. These villi are surrounded by a single layer of cells with finger-like projections. These cells are the front line of defense between foreign substances that enter the body and our internal environment. As you see, the separation between our internal and external environment is only one cell thick. The processes that occur at this location are extremely complex, and we still have some work to fully understand all those processes. In a healthy gut lining, there are tight junctions between the cells that should not allow foreign substances to enter our internal environment. A large part of our immune system is located in this area of the body to also deal with potentially dangerous substances. Just about everything we do in life has some direct or indirect effect on the health of this membrane. Foods that we eat, stress levels, sleep, exercise, supplements, medications, especially antibiotics, and our external environment all have some type of influence on gut health. This ends this section on basic macro and micronutrients, digestion, and absorption. In the next video, we will take a deeper look at the intestinal membrane and what happens when it starts to break down, and also ways to keep it healthy. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to contact us.